The Nian Rebellion was an armed uprising that took place in northern China from 1851 to 1868. Contemporaneously with Taiping Rebellion in South China, the rebellion failed to topple the Qing dynasty, but caused the immense economic devastation and loss of life that became one of the major long-term factors in the collapse of the Qing regime in the early 20th century. Origin: Nian is a word borrowed from the Biawar dialect, where it was used to refer to loosely affiliated gangs or groups. The Nian movement was formed in the late 1840s by Zhang Lexing and, by 1851, numbered approximately 40,000. Unlike the Taiping Rebellion movement, the Nian initially had no clear goals or objectives, aside from criticism of the Qing government. However, the Nian were provoked into taking direct action against the imperial regime following a series of environmental disasters. The 1851 Yellow River flood deluged hundreds of thousands of square miles and caused immense loss of life. The Qing government slowly began cleaning up after the disaster, but could not provide effective aid, as government finances had been drained during a recent war with Great Britain and the ongoing slaughter of the Taiping Rebellion. The damage created by the disaster had still not been repaired when, in 1855, the river burst its banks again, drowning thousands and devastating the fertile province of Jiangsu. At the time, the Qing government was trying to negotiate a deal with the European powers, and as state finances had been so severely depleted, the regime was again unable to provide effective relief. This enraged the Nian movement, which blamed the Europeans for contributing to China's troubles, and increasingly viewed the Qing government as incompetent and cowardly in the face of the Western powers. Political scientists Valerie Hudson and Andrea Denbo suggest that the rebellion was fueled, at least in part, by decades of female infanticide caused by the floods-related economic misery, leading to a large population of frustrated young men without any women to marry. Perhaps as many as a quarter of all young men in the area being in this category of bird branches. The conflict. In 1855, Zhang Lexing took direct action by launching attacks against government troops in central China. By the summer, the fast-moving Nian cavalry, well-trained and fully equipped with modern firearms, had cut the lines of communication between Beijing and the Qing armies fighting the Taiping rebels in the south. Qing forces were badly overstretched as rebellions broke out across China, allowing the Nian armies to conquer large tracts of land and gain control over economically vital areas. The Nian fortified their captured cities and used them as bases to launch cavalry attacks against Qing troops in the countryside, prompting local towns to fortify themselves against Nian raiding parties. This resulted in constant fighting which devastated the previously rich provinces of Jiangsu and Hunan. In early 1856, the Qing government sent the Mongol general Zheng Lincoln, who had recently crushed a large Taiping army, to defeat the Nian. Zheng Lincoln's army captured several fortified cities and destroyed most of the Nian infantry, and killed Zhang Lexing himself in an ambush. However, in late 1864, the Nian movement survived as skilled Taiping commanders Lai Wenguang and Fan Ruzeng arrived to take control of the Nian forces, and the bulk of the Nian cavalry remained intact. Zheng Lincoln's infantry-based army could not stop the fast-moving cavalry from devastating the countryside and launching surprise attacks on imperial troops. In late 1865, Zheng Lincoln and his bodyguards were ambushed by Nian troops and killed in the Battle of Gulorje, depriving the government of its best military commander. The Qing regime sent General Zheng Guofan to take command of imperial forces protecting the capital Beijing, and provided him with modern artillery and weapons, purchased from the Europeans at exorbitant prices. Zheng's army set about building canals and trenches to hem in the Nian cavalry, an effective but slow and expensive method. General Zheng was relieved of command after Nian infantry broke through one of his defense lines, and he was replaced by generals Li Hongzhang and Zhao Zongtang, equipped with more crushingly expensive European artillery and firearms. In late 1866, the remaining Nian forces split into two, with the Eastern Army, under command of Lai Wenguang, stationed in central China, whilst the Western Army advanced on Beijing. The Western Army, commanded by Zhang Zongyu, Zhang Lexing's brother's son, was defeated southwest of Beijing by Qing troops, leaving large swathes of Nian territory exposed to a Qing counterattack. By late 1867, Li Hongzhang's and Zhao Zongtang's troops had recaptured most Nian territory, and in early 1868, the remnants were crushed by the combined forces of the government's troops and the ever-victorious army. Assessment: the Nian Rebellion failed to topple the Qing dynasty largely because it failed to make alliances with other rebels, especially the Taiping movement. The Nian only symbolically supported Taiping efforts by accepting the Taiping king's appointment, but refusing to follow his orders. Had the Nian and Taipings joined forces, the Qing government would have been faced with a formidable threat. In spite of its alliances with European powers, despite the Nian's failure to seize power, the events of the rebellion dealt a severe blow to the Qing dynasty. The environmental disasters of 1851 and 1855 devastated the richest provinces of China, depriving the Qing regime of tax income and trade duties. The endless fighting between Nian troops and Qing forces, who made widespread use of scorched earth tactics, ruined the countryside and resulted in countless deaths. Although the Nian Rebellion was smaller than that of the Taiping, it severely drained government finances, devastated the richest areas of China, and left China's economy in a very precarious state. In the long term, the Nian Rebellion was to become one of the major factors in the collapse of Qing China.